Okay, we're back. Talking about sentence fragments. At this point, still talking about identifying them, not talking about how to fix them yet. So turn the paper over, the handout, and look on the back at number 8. Number 8. In the midst of the storm, when thunder roars and lightning strikes. Okay, let's do our steps. We're going to analyze the group of words to see if it's a complete sentence. We want to look for subjects and predicates. We want to make sure we check all the nouns and pronouns to see if they're subjects. So I can see a noun, storm. Storm is a thing. A storm is a thing. In this sentence, the storm is not doing anything. There's no verb. The storm what? The storm roared outside, right? The storm's not doing anything. So it's a noun, but not a subject. The next noun I see here is thunder. Thunder's a thing. And in this sentence, the thunder is doing something, right? The thunder roars. So there's a subject and a predicate. Thunder is a subject and roars is a predicate. Also, lightning. Lightning's a thing. It's a noun. And in this sentence, lightning is doing something. What did the lightning do? The lightning strikes. What does it do? It strikes. So there's a subject and a predicate. Also, by the way, midst. In the midst. Midst is a noun. It means in the middle. In the midst of the storm, in the middle of the storm. So it's a place or a time, a thing, right? But there's no verb that goes with it in this sentence. So it's a noun, but not a subject. So we have a group of words with at least one subject and predicate, right? A complete sentence has to have a subject and a predicate. But it also has to be a complete thought. It has to have a main clause in it. And if we look at this, what we have is when the thunder roars and lightning strikes. When thunder roars and lightning strikes. That's not a main clause, is it? It's a subordinate clause. If I just say thunder roars and lightning strikes, that's a main clause. We've talked about that often in class already. It's a main clause because it can be a sentence all by itself. Thunder roars and lightning strikes. But if I say, when thunder roars and lightning strikes, what? Although thunder roars and lightning strikes, what? If thunder roars and lightning strikes, what? Right? Those are subordinate clauses. They're not main clauses. They can't be sentences all by themselves. So we have a subordinate clause here. Thunder roars and lightning strikes. When thunder roars and lightning strikes. Subordinate clause. So we don't have a main clause. We don't have any main clause in this sentence. We have subjects and predicates, but we don't have at least one main clause. Now, if I left out when, if this said, in the midst of the storm, thunder roars and lightning strikes. In the midst of the storm, thunder roars and lightning strikes. Then thunder roars and lightning strikes. Thunder roars and lightning strikes would be a main clause. And this group of words would be a complete sentence. In the midst of the storm, thunder roars and lightning strikes. But if I leave that when in there, then it's not a main clause. It's a subordinate clause. And this is not a complete sentence. In the midst of the storm, when thunder roars and lightning strikes, what? In the middle of the storm, when thunder roars and lightning strikes, what happens? Right? We all run and hide, or something like that. All right? Okay. Now, so we've been talking about how to identify a fragment, a sentence fragment. But how do we fix it? When we were talking about run-on sentences, we had 3 ways that we were practicing fixing a run-on sentence: putting a semicolon, adding a comma and a fanboy, or ending one clause and starting the second clause as a new sentence. That was pretty easy. The problem with sentence fragments is there are many, many, many ways to fix them, and lots of other rules come in, because sometimes the way we fix a fragment, we have some commas, sometimes we don't. It can be a real mess. So let me just give some examples, couple examples of how we would fix some of the sentences we just looked at. Let's take a look at number 8 to start with. So we didn't have a complete sentence. We need a main clause somewhere. So I think one way I could fix this is I could add a main clause to it. I could say, in the midst of the storm, when thunder roars and lightning strikes, we run and hide, or we all hide. Now, if I added that, we all hide, now we is a subject. What do? We hide. That's a predicate. We all hide. That's a main clause because it can be a sentence all by itself. We all hide. If I add that, now I have a complete sentence because I have a subordinate clause and a main clause. That's one of our sentence designs: subordinate clause, main clause. So it's a complete sentence. All right? Because it has subjects and predicates, has at least one main clause. It's a complete sentence. Okay, take a look at the back at the other side. How about making Florida the 4th largest state in the country? Let's just try adding a subject and predicate to this, because if we add a subject and predicate, it might be a complete sentence. But so what if we started it off by saying the state has 48 million people. I've got no idea how many people Florida has. The state has 48 million people. Now, if I did that, state would be a subject, has would be a predicate. The state has 48 million people. That would be a main clause. If I add that, let's make the capital M a lowercase m and put a comma for reasons that I don't want to go into right here. Now we have a sentence. The state has 48 million people, making Florida the 4th largest state in the country. Now we have a complete sentence. What we did to make it complete is we added a main clause. Okay? All right, so we're going to have to stop there. As the semester goes on, we'll deal more with some sentence fragments, but I think it's most important for us to be able to identify them, because on the GED or the HiSET, that's what we have to be able to do. We don't have to make up a way to fix them, because we can choose from among the answers which one will make it a complete sentence. But we do have to be able to see that a group of words is not a complete sentence on the GED or the HiSET. Okay, that's it. Thanks.